All right. Okay. So now we're recording. So it'll be on record. If I go missing.
This is the April Fool's joke, isn't it?
Yeah, it is April Fool's.
Yeah, April Fool's Day. April Fool's. All the math
Sent up dress the teacher.
April Fool's, the test is today. Okay. So if our complex number that we did is r cosine theta plus I sine theta, then what De Moivre's theorem says is that we're going to take our r and we will square it. And then we will multiply that to our theta. There is an actual proof to it, but because we spent half the time working on the previous step, I'm just going to skip to just showing you all that. So you can assume that if we had z cubed, it'd be r cubed cosine of 3 theta plus I sine 3 theta. And then I have the general formula on the next slide.
So that's solved? Like you don't have to do anything more to that problem? For what it's asking?
You'll evaluate just like we did on the last ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, like I said, here is your general form. So if I have any of these complex numbers in trig form raised to an n, I'm going to have r to the n power cosine of n theta plus I sine n theta. Also, before I forget, I think it's number 137 on your homework. Don't do that one. It's the last one. It's the roots, and I don't think we do that anymore in pre-cal. Okay, so let's look at our first example. So instead of multiplying this out 6 times, which I would prefer not to, and especially since I don't know what cosine of 10 degrees is on the unit circle, I can use De Moivre's theorem to now do 2 to the 6th power cosine of 6 times 10 plus I sine of 6 times 10. So without a calculator, what's 2 to the 6th power? 64. And then we're going to evaluate cosine at 60 degrees. And sine at 60 degrees, just like on the last part of those notes. So go ahead and finish that one out. So we're finishing 6-5 today. We'll review on Tuesday and test on Thursday. And then we'll move on to our last chapter.
So do these eyes have like imaginary numbers? Do they have like the common thing, like negative I or I squared?
Not in our world. I'm sure they could. All right, so half of 64 gets me 32. Good. And then 32 root 3. Okay. Any questions so far?
I missed the law of sign.
Is this difficult?
No.
It's a genuine
I
question.
It's just a lot.
I just don't
Yeah.
know how that like related to that. Like,
It's
why-
all in
how
chapter
did we get
6.
from
I
this
do
to
hate
that?
that about math.
Yeah.
I feel like I started doing one thing and finished with a completely different.
Like this.
You did algebra
test
2
is
for
gonna
like
be
the
all-
first, I feel like,
I
semester.
started doing mine algebra too.
Can I get some work?
Now you get to the good stuff.
Oh,
All right, try the next one.
Oh,
it's 2, 32.
So 2 to the 5th, and then cosine of what?
It's 50.
5 times 30, which is 8.
128.
So 2 to the 5th is what? 32. Cosine at 150 is sine at 150 is half. And so we end up with negative 16 root 3 plus 16i. Okay. Any questions so far? One question, or are you good? I've got one question. All right, so the other ones have been written in trig form. We need to first change the complex number to trig form. So go ahead and try this one out. Remember, all you have to find is r and theta. And once you find that, then you can do De Moivre's theorem.
You're allowed to use a calculator.
You don't need it.
How you, you're supposed to just know that tangent off your phone, aren't you? You're funny.
I hope you know what tangent is or tangent's one.
I got it, yeah.
I don't.
I didn't.
Oh no, I was gonna start writing on the whiteboard. And I was like, right. No, I'm not gonna.
For David.
All right, so we first write it in trig form. If we have 1, 1, that makes our R what? Square root of 2. And our theta, where's tangent 1 in the first quadrant? 45. Now, if I'm looking ahead, and I know that eventually I'm going to have to take 45 and multiply it by 8, which is totally fine. You can do that. But what if I did pi over 4 times 8? It's a whole lot easier. I just did 2 pi. Okay? So it's up to you. You can choose if you want to do degrees or radians. But if I'm looking at fractions, especially fractions that simplify, I'm probably going to choose that. So if I have r, which is root 2, and then cosine of pi over 4 plus I sine of pi over 4. So then from there, move this. So if I'm raising this to the 8th power, I have root 2 to the 8th, and cosine of 8 times pi over 4. Another way to look at root 2 is, again, old algebra 2 rules. I can write that as 2 to the 1/2. And raised to the 8th power is just 2 to the 4th. 2 to the 4th is what? 16. Again, all without a calculator in case it's on the non-calculator portion. So then we get 2 pi, especially the state test, you won't be able to do too much on the little mini calculator. So what is cosine at 2 pi? 1. And sine? 0. So our answer is just 16. Okay. So that's taking all of it from the beginning and solving it out using the mod raised. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Let's do one more. So this is the root stuff that we're not going to do. So we're just going to do one more example and then I'll set you free to clean up any of the homework that was still confusing. Oh boy. Someone has a lot of work to do.
Really?
6-3 and 6-4 aren't bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only 16, 6.
The homework's due on Thursday, right?
Yes, next Thursday.
I got time.
I've got time. Listen
So
at
much
you.
time to procrastinate. So much work.
Another one you should know without the calculator. What's that? I can't remember. I don't know if I have this on my list. I think that's right. Personally, I'd like to use the radian measure on this one. Should make it a lot easier on yourself.
Well, if you use the degrees, it's still expensive.
Yeah. I think there's just for me more room for error when I'm multiplying bigger numbers like that. Yeah. Okay, let's see how we did. All right, so square root of 3 and negative 1. So if I want to find r, I have root 3 squared and 1 squared. That gives me 3 plus 1, which is 4, so 2. And I'm looking for where tangent is 1 over root 3, so I can make that happen on my left hand. Flip it over, that's a 30-degree reference angle. So 30 degrees in my mind, I know is pi over 6. So if I just go 1 pi over 6 less, I'm at 11 pi over 6. Why? Because I see that 6 there, and I know eventually it's going to cross out. That's the only reason. But you could do, if you wanted to say, okay, 30 degrees, it's 330 degrees and multiply by 6, totally. Okay, either one, it's your choice. Okay, so then 2 to the 6th and cosine of 11 pi over 6 times 6 just gets me 11 pi. 2 to the 6 is what? So if you look at your unit circle, you know this is 1 pi, 2 pi. You can keep going until you get to 11 pi. But if you notice, it's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, even, odd, and so on. Okay, so we're going to be over here at pi. Cosine at pi is negative 1. And sine is 0. So negative 64. Do you have the negative? This one? Oh, it's okay. Okay, any questions? Like I said, we're not going to do roots, and I think the last problem is 137, so you don't have to worry about doing 137. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started on that